As you mentioned, you live in UK, and there are a lot of people from Africa as well, in US and also in UK. When it comes to the situation, what's happening right now around the world, how is in the light of that, how is UK different to the US when it comes to racial crisis?
To be honest, there's a difference between the United Kingdom is not innocent when it comes to racism. The UK, they know what racism is. I think they do. Sometimes they just pretend they don't know. But people, it's a tolerant country, to be honest. The United Kingdom is a tolerant country. And I find peace here. And I need to be fair and honest that I find peace. And as long as you follow the laws and you're doing your own thing, you don't get harassed like in the United States. But the US is disrespect. It's total disrespect in your rights, your humanity, and you being a human being. And I think that's what I see. And then I see the same in other countries as well. But my experience is that the UK is a tolerant country. They do welcome people with open arms. And so far, although I have some big issue with I had a lot of racist issues here. I suffered racism quite a lot in the United Kingdom in many ways, in my career, in my business, in my friendships. I really suffered racism, and sometimes we call it a settled racism or a passive racism, but it's racism that I'm starting to see it now with the George Floyd's death. I'm starting to revisit my friendships and what happened to me in the past, and the reason why I'm in this situation in many, many ways, that so many opportunities were taken away from me because of my skin color in my work in many companies. And so and I think that is really important we talk about that. And the United States is very scary for me. I don't like going there. My son is, like I said to you earlier, my son is a mixed race, son. And I remember going to Los Angeles, and I was so scared. We were in an Airbnb, and in the morning he said, "Mommy, I'm gonna go for a run." I said, "No. Stay here. Don't go." No, I'm gonna go to the 7-Eleven. I said, "No. This is the United States. You are not going anywhere. We're staying here. We go together." I hold his hand, and I said, "We're gonna go to the shop together. We're going to go running together. You are not going by yourself. We're on holiday here. You are mixed race. You're not going out." And that shouldn't happen, because he should be free to go out and have a good time without me. He's a teenager. But just to tell you, that fear made me that I said, "No, I'm not going to the United States again." I was so scared. And then he could have just been killed by just going to the shop, And then that really scared me.
So from your perspective, spending a lot of time in UK, what is the main cause of this racial crisis in the US? What do you think is the reason behind it? There are so many reasons, of course, but what are some of the key components that are creating this crisis?
In the United States, they, as I said earlier, first of all, we have a history of slavery for, over 400 years. We had a history of slavery, and people don't talk. The big elephant in the room is slavery, and also it's people. The system in the United States have never acknowledged this. So there's no. We never sat down and discuss what slavery has, done to Black people. There's no reparation, and this has been happening for many, many decades. And so you see that even the prison system in the United States has created a discrimination. The sentencing disparity, people, 97% of Black people and brown people who are in the United States prisons today don't go to trial, for example. And so you have a generation of people in prisons, people making money behind their backs. So slavery, was an economic problem, was an economic, system where people used to, it was trading people. And so again, now we're trading prisoners. So they are doing the work for big companies and in the United States. So the black people, the black people you just mentioned earlier, it's not valued. It's not valued. And so that's why there's a big problem. And so number one. Number two is no one has ever explained to the African Americans and the American themselves, the black Americans, about, the history of how this is interlinked. And so you see the lack of identity is a big problem, and the fact that no one has ever valued them as human beings. They value themselves because of money. In the United States, if you have money, you are valued, and nobody respects them. And a black person cannot do anything. For them, they are criminals. In the mind of people, a black man is a criminal by default. And so if you have this mindset planted in your head from the beginning, then what you do when you're a teenager, I have a teenager son, then you start acting out and you start smoking cannabis and doing bad stuff, and then you end up in jail, and then you made their point. And so this constant system of racism and discrimination, but also criminalizing the black body, I will say, has been in the United States for many, many years. And then it's a systematic problem. And then people are making money out of this. And then, you can find this out. It's evidence-based, it's documented in many, many ways, in films, in documentaries, from Martin Luther King to, many people who are talking about this, Malcolm X. And for many years, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were, in the eyes of the system, criminals. What they had to say didn't matter. And so that's why you have this constant and this continuation of criminalizing even what black people say. Even having President Obama, who's a highly educated man, a community leader, you are criminalizing him by saying that he doesn't have a birth certificate. Not having a birth certificate, being born in the United States or not being born in the United States, pretending to be born in the United States, and it's criminal. It's a criminal act. It's a felony. So first of all, you are criminalizing this man who is the president of the United States. So that's the mindset of what a black man is. And so that's the problem we have in the United States. And because people are always, first they always putting you into the box that you don't exist. This is not your box. And then again, that's why we have this systematic problem that need to be not band-aid. Just talk about it and band-aid and said, okay, everything will be finished. But actually, we need to go and find the surgeons. We need to look into surgery. I will say racism. You need a surgeon to look into every single muscle, every single piece. And right now, every single time there's someone died, we shot someone is killed, we put band-aid with hashtags, and we just say, okay, well, it's going to end, it's going to finish. But no, it's not going to finish. We're going to have another George Floyd, and all we need to wish for is not one of our child, or it's not one of our loved ones, or it's not actually nobody. It shouldn't happen. It should not happen. Black people should not be dying on the street. People putting their knee on their necks. It's not human. It's not human. It's not what we do in the 21st century, and we don't do that. And so that's the problem I have with the United States, is that there's no consciousness in the part of the people who hold the power to realize this is not okay. This is not okay. We should not be doing this. But you need to take time for people to say, this is not okay. It's not okay to have someone arrest someone and put my knee on their neck and kill them. It's not okay. It's not okay to just kill someone on the street without, because of your suspicion or your fear, you just kill them.
And assumptions
and just let them die. You're taking a life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a life, Miwaza. It's a life we're taking from people. So, and that's my biggest issue in the United States, is that I really hope that, number one, we need to recalibrate our vocabulary around racism as well, because people don't understand racism. and they think it's like it's like easy stuff to talk about, but it's very deep. It's really deep.
What is racism?
So we have different type of racism, and so what racism mean? For example, you and I, we were born the same. We had the same intellect. Same CV, went to the same school. We want to get the same job, same opportunities. You apply for a job, I apply for a job. But the person who's interviewing us have a fear, a bias. They have not been educated about diversity or anything, or they don't want to have Black people or different people, in fact, in their companies. And so we do the interview. We do the interview together, and then we leave. But unfortunately, when we come back, you get the job, I don't get the job. Now, I'm not saying that sometimes it's because maybe I didn't do well, but in many, many occasions, the bias of that person who interviewed us played a role in me not getting hired. Because maybe I didn't speak very well, my name is different, I've got an accent, or you are worried that if I get this Black woman in my company, she's going to create a problem. Because I don't know if you know, but Black women for many, many decades, they've been, portrayed as difficult people.
And
as
loud.
And complex, and complex and difficult and loud. And this is like a myth, and it's a fiction. It's not true. Or the other part of racism is, we're trying to get a house together, and we are a couple. You see me, I'm Black, and you just like, no, you're not gonna be in my neighborhood. So you stop. You're not gonna rent me the house because of my color. Or in many occasions, conferences. I've been to conferences where they give the role to another woman than me. Or sometimes they use me as a Black person. That's also racism. I'm a token. It's called being the token. And so because you don't have any Black person in your network, and then you just call me because to make yourself look good. That's also racism. Or we go to a bar together. You get in, I don't get in. This has happened in many, many occasions across the world. So racism is definitely something that is settled in some countries. It's something that people don't notice. Because like I said, if you're not Black, you cannot notice it. And I got a couple of friends before when I mentioned this, when I make these comments, I said, are you sure about that? Are you sure? Oh, you really? Oh, wow. Oh, well, I didn't notice that, but I did.